This is Abe Friedtanzer from Awards Buzz, and I'm very excited to be speaking with Jane Weinstock about three birthdays. How are you, Jane?
I'm good, thank you. I'm
Can you
very
tell me about
excited. The film's coming out today, so
it's great, although I know it's also been a long journey, right? This premiered at the Woodstock Film Festival back in 2023, a long time
yes,
ago.
we did festivals for a year.
How does
Um,
it feel to have a film? Do you feel like it takes on a certain life of its own at a point when it's going festival to festival to festival?
it does, but then we had four theatrical screenings that were all sold out uh 2 weeks ago. And then then they gave us two more, and they did really well. So we've done a lot of Q&As and people seem to like the movie, which is wonderful.
Do you feel like people react differently to it based on where you're showing it or in what kind of setting?
Well, these were all New York showings, and I always knew someone in the audience, so I felt I was in unfriendly territory. Um,
That's great. Well, can you tell me about the inspiration behind this story for you?
well, this was my childhood. Yeah, I grew up during the 60s, and so I thought, what am I going to make a film about? Something I had the idea of the three birthdays initially, but then it needed to be about something. It needed to take place during a certain time, and I thought, well, I know this time very well, and it was a very exciting time and a very tumultuous time for me personally, like within my family and in just in terms of the world. I felt it had a lot of drama built into it. And then I
So
like the three birthday structure in which, it's about a family of three, a 17-year-old daughter and her college professor parents. And I wanted to have to play with point of view, so I wanted to have each character's birthday represent his point of view. And and so that's what I did. The script changed many times over the years, but I always had that structure, and that sort of kept it grounded.
would you say that you relate most to Bobby?
Um, I don't totally relate most to Bobby, even though she's stands in for me in terms of that period of time. Um, I had another life as an academic. Went to lots of graduate school and was going to and taught and was going and I was in film studies, but I really, it was something I wasn't really sure about. And then I made some short films and I was like, oh no, this is for me. So I basically changed careers.
Interesting. Well, I think there's a lot, despite this being a different era, there's a lot of in there that feels like it could be happening today. Did you see those parallels from your first early scripts, or that's something that sort of emerged with the time?
Um, I thought it emerged with the time, but of course our time it's like the most divided time ever. And that was a very tumultuous time. So they they've become they've gotten closer, as time has gone on, closer to reflecting on each other. I always wanted them to reflect on each other, and now it's like alarming how much they do.
Well, I think it's also interesting how you explore ideas of, even within the same kind of ideologies, some clashes, like how Bobby accuses Kate of, supposedly being a feminist, but then behaving a certain way. And so even just those generational conflicts within a certain idea of liberal living.
Yes, yes, definitely.
So Josh Radnor and Annie Parise are both great actors who have been around for a while doing a lot of things. Did you know that you wanted them for these roles? And are there specific parts that you had seen them in that made you think they would be right for this?
Well, I had a great casting director, Betsy Fippinger, and they were among the many people that I was looking at because I went through a pretty comprehensive process. And but by the time I talked with each of the oh, this was all done during COVID, so I never met anybody until basically I met Annie after she was cast. But I didn't really meet people until rehearsals. So I looked at their work. I had meetings, Zoom meetings with them, and they knew each other. And I, I thought they could really work as as my couple.
And what
And
about
I
Nuala
think that,
Cleary?
hmm? And
What about Nuala Cleary?
Nuala was did an audition, and I was really taken by her. So, and then it turned out that Nuala had met Josh because at age 13, she had gone to some kind of festival or something where Josh was doing selfies with people. And so she had a selfie of her and Josh. So when she was 13, and I don't know what Josh was, but anyway, she when we had our first rehearsal, she presented this selfie to Josh, and he was really, really amused and touched. And we used the selfie on the refrigerator in the movie. So it all came back.
Um, I'm curious at the screenings that you had for the film, how people responded to Rob and Kate and whether they sort of took a side in the way that there were some, disagreements, and also if they maybe more emulated Bobby's perspective, which is one of anger and resentment, but also not quite seeing the full picture.
Uh-huh. I think it really, the film's very open in a lot of ways. I think I think men more than most women, uh, some men identify with Rob and some think he's a terrible husband. Um, then that depends on, their relationships and who they are. I find Rob sympathetic, which I feel for what his struggles. And I don't know, what about you? What did you think of him?
I think in a lot of ways, I like that the two of them have such open communication, which obviously I wish they were sharing everything because I think they're not trying to have this open marriage because they don't want to be with each other. That's because they're just trying to explore and see what works for them. And so I I'm sad that he doesn't communicate as well as I wish he would because I think he has very good intentions. And I certainly don't think that Kate is the villain of the film, as Bobby seems to think for a while. But I think there was a lot of complications to it. And from other stories I've seen of open marriages, I think it's a slippery slope where you can have all the best intentions, but if you don't
Mhm.
play very specifically by the rules, and even if you do, you're still probably going to get hurt.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
and I guess I didn't quite answer that question. It's still I'm still not sure how I feel.
Well, it sounds like you felt for him, um,
That's
despite his flaws. And as I said, I did too, but definitely not everybody does. If some people said, someone said, "Oh, he's a liar and a cheat," um, and to me, that's very reductive. I think he does those things, but he's many other things as well. He's a wonderful father, and and in many ways, a loving husband who, wants to sort of take the lessons of feminism and and change. But he's having a hard time doing it.
Do you think that what we talked about, relevance to modern times, if you set this story in the present day, do you think it would be radically different or would it be a lot more similar than we think?
Well, I hear a lot of people have open relationships these days. So that's very much in the air. Um, I think maybe Bobby would be different. she would be, I mean, I think for the time, she's a pretty knowing character, but she'd be even more so now. And she probably would have lost her virginity when she was 13 rather than 17. Um, I don't know. I didn't think about setting it now.
Well, I know that you've also made other features before this, but it's usually quite a long gap between your feature films. How do you feel you've changed as a filmmaker since, The Moment and Easy?
Well, I spend a long time writing and rewriting and a long time raising money. So by the time I get around to making the film, it's some time has passed. Um, I think I think I've learned a lot. I worked a lot in acting classes. I worked did some acting. I'm a terrible actor, but I kind of enjoy it. Um, and then I did some acting, but mostly I directed actors. And that was really important to me, and that changed the way that I wrote, and it changed the way that I made films. Um, so that's probably the biggest shift. Um, like, wanting an authenticity, a truthfulness in the performance that sometimes took a lot of work to get. Of course, I cast the kinds of actors that I like, so that helped a lot.
Do you have another film or project in the works or in
I
development?
do indeed. I have something I've written, two-thirds of a first draft, and it takes place in New York, and it's about female friendship, which is, a complicated subject.
Well, I'm curious also, what have you seen lately? Are there films from this year that are really sticking with you that you really liked?
I liked Enora a lot. Did you like it?
I did. I did. I thought it was very good.
Yeah. I liked Baby Girl. What did you think of that one? You
That was
like,
good too. That's not exactly my speed necessarily, but I know a lot of people who liked it. I saw it in at the Toronto International Film Festival, so a good crowd of adoring Nicole Kidman fans and Harris Dickinson fans. So the right place to see it, I think.
yes, yes. I thought it was a brave film, certainly brave of Nicole Kidman to do it, but brave in lots of ways, and very, very interesting. Um, Last year I liked Poor Things a lot. I thought that
Love
was a
that.
wonderful movie. I recently saw The Brutalist. Can't say I thought it was that great. Did you like it?
I think there's a lot of very interesting things about it. I think it's very well shot and very very intense, and there's certainly a lot to ponder. Now, it's not my top, but definitely a worthwhile film if you have 3.5 hours on your hands.
Right. Little time to kill. Uh,
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much, Dan. I'm so pleased I got a chance to talk with you. I wish you plenty of luck with Three Birthdays now that it's out on demand, and with your next project.
Great. Thank you so much. Good to talk to you.